Hey everyone, Steven here. We're going to talk about Tang or fish aggression in general today. So before we begin, let me preface by saying that my tank is 550 gallons and it was an upgrade from a previous 180 gallons. And I just counted, I have 12 tanks in my tank for 550 and 13 if you count all vegetarians, because I also have a magnificent fox face sitting there. The fox face doesn't really bother anyone and nobody bothers it, but all of my tanks, most of them were added at the same time when I established this new tank, moving from the old tank to this tank. But unfortunately, I don't have the luxury to add them all and also all the new tanks at once after I have acquired some of the new fish, which is kind of like what I would like to suggest. So number one, you probably have heard the term tank police, where people would criticize those people who overstock their tank with tanks. In the wild, just so you know, every one of these fish, as I go diving and snorkeling, every one of these fish that are quote-unquote adult size in captivity are about half the size of what they really could be in the wild. So even at a 550 gallon, it's still not quite big enough to provide them all the leg room that they need to grow and need to stretch your legs. But I've got plenty of rock work for them to hide and also just kind of turn around and get away from other aggressions. Right now, I would say there are two incidents or two groups of aggressions. It's this Tomini Tang constantly battling the Dulcimeri Tang. If you look at them, it's absolutely a coloration thing. They are two of the darker gray fish in this tank, even though they're in a different genus. Tomini is a bristletooth and Dulcimeri is Acanthrus. And believe it or not, this Dulcimeri will eventually be the largest fish in this tank. In the wild, as I go snorkeling in Hawaii, you can see them often at 12-14 inch. That's the minimum size out there in the reef. And the second set of aggression I have right now is the powder blue tang, as you can see, chasing after the Achilles tang. So they are actually very similar looking, both in shape, not in color, but also in behavior. So they kind of like to dance around. They don't really do a whole lot of harm to each other. They just kind of chase each other around, just enough to annoy each other. They're both feeding and they're both kind of just trying to establish their own territory. The previous aggression I've had was the purple tang versus the gem tang. So at one point I thought the gem tang eye is going to pop out. It actually miraculously healed. Same thing happened to the Dulcimeri. It actually had a big gash through its guts, and I thought all this internal is going to fall out, and it didn't. So the only thing that I can say, honestly, is time. Just give them time. They will just kind of settle down after a while. Also, when I have added this emperor angelfish, the powder blue tang was added for about 2 hours, and then it gave up. I think the emperor tang stood his or her own ground, and also the powder blue tang realized it's a totally different species. The only reason why it was aggressive in the first place was because of the coloration. Speaking of which, the Pacific blue tang or Regal tang or hippo tang is actually the king in this tank. This fish is the most aggressive. Normally you don't see the fish going after each other, but no other fish dares to go against it. This fish is the absolute king. And the fish does not, it's a paracanthus, so it is the only species in its genus. It's farthest related to all the rest of the tanks. It's not even a true vegetarian. So as you can tell, it's really just like size and territory. So a couple tricks of avoiding avoiding aggression if you don't have enough rock work or if you don't have enough space. Number one is try to add them all in the same time if you can, and if that's not possible, the second trick is that you can try to move your rock work a little bit, just reshape the territories, just basically like taking away land from someone and then put the land back in so that they have to re-grab it. That way, instead of aggressing towards each other, it's more of a community grab so that not one fish is like isolating or singling out another fish. So at that point, I also want to point out that I have a Regal Angel here newly acquired. So this angel, I'll try to get it real fat and real healthy, get to eat real well before I even try to introduce into that tank. I'd imagine when I introduce the Regal, probably the Emperor Angel will not be very happy, and probably I will not have a happy lemon peel either. So I'm also in the process of getting a captive bred gold flake angel, which is actually like 2 inches. So it may take a few months before it grows to a decent size. So I might actually wait, and I will introduce the 2 angels at the same time. That's actually going to be my third trick, is to add multiple fish that can potentially instigate aggression from either one or a small group of fish, so that you can kind of diffuse the aggression, so not one fish is being singled out. So that's it for today about fish aggression. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have any comments, feel free to let me know what you think, and I'm happy to discuss further with you. And besides that, happy reefing.